Welcome, Moors, back to another episode of Etymology 101 with the Honorable Nationalist, Astrologist, Humanitarian, and Teacher, the Honorable Sister Selah Li Bey. Welcome, Sister.
Islam. And just like you said, this is Etymology 101. I'm Selah Li Bey, and this is my website because I do this as a business. I have a business called The Cultivated Mind, and it's through Selah Educational Services, which is my larger business, which is the parent business, so to speak. And the goal is to educate our youth through, true tactics, true information, things that are efficient, not just trying to, dumb them down or keep them at a certain level of understanding, but giving them the insight to overstand and understand. And that's what the Cultivated Mind is about. So we're here to cultivate the minds of the youth. So this is the website, and I have various PowerPoints that are there for free. You can download them and study off of them. So it's a little introduction for you. So today we're going to be talking about etymology, and as many people have been hearing probably as of late about etymology, they associate it with the origin of words, where words come from, what their true meaning is, and that is absolutely correct. And we need to study that as Moors because we need to go back to our indigenous tongue. And that doesn't just mean speaking the language of our forefathers per se, because the truth of the matter is that Moors were everywhere. So all of these languages really belong to us. But the issue is more so of our overstanding or how we even understand the language and the words that we use every day. And so that's a major impetus of why we study etymology, so that we can get back to the true meaning of words, which relates back to our true nature, our true essence. And as you know, nature and nationality, by now we hope that you have been able to make that connection. So I'll write it here on the board for you. Nature, nationality. These two words have the same root. I'll underline it for you. That will be nat, which refers to birth. And so going to your true nature or being or understanding who you are and knowing your nationality are one and the same. And that's why we're studying these words, to get back to that essence. But before we can just jump straight into roots, prefixes, suffixes, transliteration, semantic change, denotation, connotation, one of the things I want to do with this particular lesson is to start with very, very young people. That would be like the babies. And the reason why I want to start there is that's the mother is the first school for the children. So I want to teach those who are the first teachers, and that's the age that they'll be working with, which is the babies. Even before they're out of the womb, there are things that you can do and that I would like to be able to impart to mothers. So that's why I would like to begin there. But it is a part of etymology, because you cannot study the origin of words if you don't understand the principles of how words are even built, and how to break down words phonetically to be able to pronounce them. That's the first thing that our children learn. So that is where I want to begin today with our etymological study. And again, this is dedicated to the mothers of very young children, mothers that are with child, or women who are mothers that are looking to become mothers in the spiritual, in the flesh, as opposed to just in the spirit, meaning they in the future want to have children. All of this is for them. So the first thing that you really want to do as a mother is, once you know that you are with child, the way that you talk to the child while they're in the womb, it builds a relationship. So that's the first thing. You want to build a relationship with your youth, because as a teacher, I can tell you that I may know all of the key components of a certain subject. Like, I could break down reading and the different aspects of reading that you need to know to be a good reader. But if I don't have a good relationship with a student, then it's all for naught. So that's why the first thing you really want to do is build that relationship with your child. And so everything from talking to them, having everyday conversations with them, being conscious of the energy in the room or in the spaces that you're in, because your children in general pick up on energies more than we do, particularly if we have not been raised in a way where we learn how to maintain our clear vision. The children, when they're born, they have clarity of vision because they haven't been tainted with so many distractions and things of the physical realm. So, when you may be getting a bad feeling here, you should listen to that, because just like your child is a student, you're teaching your child also ends up teaching you and helping you to develop. And again, that goes back to relationship. Another key component would be to read to your child. And I encourage that you read rhymes. And this will also come into play once they are born, that you want to start with rhymes with children, because it builds what we call phonological awareness. So I'll put that up. And phonological, if I was to break this down into its word parts. So this refers to sound. And this is the study. Like if I said phonology, that's the study of sounds. And then this part right here is just telling you the part of speech. And that would be an adjective. So what kind of awareness do you want your child to develop? You want them to develop the awareness of how sounds, how you distinguish between different types of sounds, whether it be between, and ultimately this is the point you want to get to, a child may see, or no, before they even see it, a child may hear this word, bat. And if they have good phonological awareness, they know that it rhymes with cat, right? You could ask them, what is the beginning sound? And they could tell you, they could designate the beginning sound versus the ending sound. So those are all key components of phonological awareness. Another aspect will be, if I said continue, if I said magic, if I said tree. I'm going to change continue. I'm going to change that to happiness. Just because continue sounded kind of random. Happiness, magic, and tree. And these are words that you would likely see in a children's story. So being able to identify what are the syllables. Oh, magic, that has 2 syllables. Tree, that's 1 syllable. Happiness, happiness, that's 3 syllables. So being able to distinguish all of that within words is a part of phonological awareness, and that's a key component to reading. And oftentimes when that's not stimulated amongst our children when they're in the womb and once they're first born, it causes them to have delays in their ability to read. So we can eliminate that beforehand by reading to them, developing a student-teacher relationship with them, in addition to parent and child, but definitely a student-teacher relationship. I watch a good friend of mine with her son, and it just seems like ever since he was born, everything she would do, he would mimic. And so you could tell, and she's a teacher by trade. We used to teach together. And we've done a lot of teaching in the community together, as well as in a school that we used to work together at. So I know her caliber, and I know when you have that teacher frame of mind, it doesn't matter whose child you're with. It could be yours, it could be a stranger. You always feel like you want to teach. It could be an adult. You always feel like you want to teach. So that was constantly going through her mind, and that's what the child absorbed. She would constantly be talking to him. She would not allow herself to be in the presence of people who were, having really negative energy, who were cursing. I remember that was a big thing. Nobody could curse around her when she was pregnant, just because she was very sensitive. And of course, she always read to him, always watched movies and talked to him while she was watching the movie, play certain music. All of these things, because I can see now that he just turned 2 about a week ago. But from the moment he was born, I could see how those things had an effect, because I'll never forget, I think she stuck her tongue out. He was maybe like 2 days old, maybe 2 days. And he started doing it. I mean, he just instantly was doing what she was doing. And I remember when he was like, maybe 2 months or so, give or take a couple weeks, she would teach him how to reach for things, how to grab things. She would always challenge him physically, challenge him how to figure out how to find things. I mean, it was just amazing to watch. It taught me a lot. And I could see that relationship growing over time. So he's, like I said, he's 2. And because they have that teacher-student relationship, he now is able to read what we call sight words, which are words that they don't have, you don't break them down phonetically, because they don't have rules. They're just words that you have to be able to memorize. And so he's been able to memorize those kind of words before he even turned 2. So it's just amazing to watch. Also, Amos Wilson wrote he wrote about the very thing I'm talking about, which is he wrote a book. It's called The Development of the Black Child. So we know he was writing from that paradigm. However, the information was still true, that our children are exposed to prenatal factors that set them up for failure, even health-wise. The way that you eat, being around secondhand smoke. So most people now know that you're not supposed to smoke when you are pregnant, and people will chastise you. So most people don't do that. But they're still around people who are smoking, right? You're still in the car. You got a mate who doesn't want to stop smoking. Like, all these things are prevalent within our communities, and our children suffer. And you, believe it or not, even the physical environmental factors that affect our children in the womb can not just affect their physical development, but also like their psychological development, their ability to process and to learn overall. So we see a lot of cases of children with special needs, and some of it is very biased. But some of it is real. There are just many things. Children having weak memory, weak attention span, not able to focus, and all these things, I would say, are issues we're seeing in America in all communities. But again, it's very heavy and prevalent in our community. And they're not really doing anything meaningful to fix the problem. You have some people who get lucky, and they may get good teachers They may find people in the school who are advocates for them, who care for them. So that's what's helping those type of students, but it's not a systematic thing, because systematically we have a major reading issue in this nation of Moors, and on this landmass on North America of people of all nationalities. You know, we have we have lower reading scores than we should, given the quote-unquote development that we have in this nation. So, you know, again, this is just for women, sisters, to do our part in building up a nation that's already in existence. We're just reclaiming it and rebuilding it up. Our part is in working with them when they're here in the womb. So that's phonological awareness that we kind of got away from. That was the principle that I was just talking about, and that's what you want to develop with the young children. And so there are certain things you can do. You can. That's why we sing songs. We read stories that have rhymes. You want to be, when the child is born. Once the child is born, you can start to develop what's called phonemic awareness. Now, most people say, okay, phonemic awareness is something that you don't really develop until maybe ages 3 to 4, right? But when you think about it, you know, when the children are saying buh, 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 they're learning how to form their mouth into certain shapes to be able to make certain sounds. One thing that you can do is you can show them letters when they're very little. You know, you're not going to expect them to get it like that, but constant repetition for young children is how they absorb it, and then they regurgitate it, and then they become it. So we teach them ba ba ba, da da da, ma ma ma. We teach them, those are the consonants. So here in phonemic awareness, and this is also part of phonological awareness. Let me just say, phonological awareness is a broad concept. Remember, I said it goes from rhymes to having the same, like if I said bath and book, okay, then you're able to identify that they have the same beginning sound. Or if I said bath and, if I said book and shake, you're able to identify that they have the same ending sound. But when we get into phonemic awareness, it's very specific as to say, back to that whole bat thing. So bat, I have 3, how many letters do I have? I have 3 letters. How many sounds do I have? Oh, here I happen to have 3 sounds. What are the sounds? Being able to segment those sounds in a word that you hear is called phonemic awareness. So it's a little bit more specific than phonological. Okay, this is also key and critical to being able to read, because that's how you do what we call decode words. In reading, see, let me roll back. Reading is not being able to say a word that you saw on a paper. So if I see this and I say, oh, that says decode, you did not read the word, you just decoded the word. If I saw this and it said, oh, that says Moors, you did not read this word Moors, you decoded this word. To read is to interpret and to give meaning behind what you have decoded. So it's funny because I teach a community college, and my students I can just hear it. I can hear it in their voices when they read. You'd be amazed, but I can hear in their voices when they read that they're really not understanding it, because they're just flying through it. There's no nuances. There's no stopping at a certain point where it's natural to stop. But you only get that if you understand what you're reading. And I always tell them, you guys are just decoding words. You need to stop. You need to slow down. You need to take your time and use the methods of interpretation that I have taught you. So that's just key. Don't feel like, it's funny because, yeah, don't feel like, oh, my child can say all these big words, so now I'm just so proud that he can do that and stop there. Take it to the next level. Now, what do those words mean? How do you use them in sentences? When you read a sentence with that word, how do you interpret that sentence? That's reading. But I digress. So, when you are developing the skill of phonemic awareness, you are preparing yourself to be able to decode and encode words. So decode would be if I saw that word, if I saw the letters B-A-T and I said, oh, what does that say? Bat. Encode is basically spelling. So if I said spell more and you said M-O-O-R, that's encoding. So decoding and encoding are the two skills that you gain from having a strong phonemic awareness. Okay, so I find that a lot of times they don't have. Oh, and let me go back. You have what are called phonemes, and you have what are called graphemes. All right, using your etymology. Let's see. You know, you could pause the video on your own time or whatnot. But using your etymology, think about what these two have to do with, okay? I'll give you a hint that they're parts of words, right? But this is one way that we look at a word, and this is another way that we look at a word, okay? So I'm going to, hopefully you paused it and you figured it out. If you did not, that's okay as well. I'm moving forward. Here, you use your word parts again. So phoneme, remember we talked about phone, what is that again? Sound. Phonemes are the sounds, the number of sounds in a word. Graphemes, the number of letters in a word. Graph, as in autograph, biography, has to do with something that is written. Okay, so these are the two components of words. We're going to come back and I'm going to give you even more. It's long.